Alright, so welcome everyone. For those just joining us, I'll go again from where we stopped. I said if you install Vagrant, if you want to confirm that you have installed Vagrant correctly, all you need to do is go to your command prompt and just type vagrant dash version, and this would bring out the version. Then I went further to explain that I discovered that with Vagrant you run into some issues in running your virtual machine using Vagrant, but I was able to solve this issue by using VirtualBox and Ubuntu. Now I've gone ahead to open up my VirtualBox. Okay, so you can have different virtual machines in VirtualBox. Okay, so this is VirtualBox and I can install different machines, and I will install one more machine right from this VirtualBox. So what you have to do when you install the machine, you are going to see it here under this panel, okay, where you have these machines. Now if I just click start, you see that I now have Ubuntu machine, even though my I'm using the Windows operating system. So you can see this is the Ubuntu. It's starting up now, so you just give it some time and you see it to start up, and you can now perform all the tasks, all the optional tasks, okay, for the project given. Let me see, someone is saying something in the chat. Okay, I do not know how to link them. Yes, no problem, we'll link them now. So look at it. This is okay. So this is my virtual machine. I have to put in my password, okay, and once I hit enter, it's going to open. You don't need Windows Store to download this, okay? Ignore. Let me just close this. Okay. So you can see, so this is it's giving me a warning that my disk is low. I mean, you just ignore this, okay? So this is an actual virtual machine that you see here, okay? So let me just show you. By the time you are done installing this Ubuntu, you have something like this running. So I'm running like two different operating systems at the same time, simultaneously now, because of the help of VirtualBox, okay? Then what you want to do for the task is you want to locate your terminal. So you just click this show applications icon, okay, and the easiest way to locate anything is to search for it, okay? So I'll just search terminal right here, and then now I have this terminal, okay? So give it some seconds. So you see, this is the terminal we are working with. Then for you to now you can now connect via this terminal using SSH. It's just copying the SSH from the SSH command you need from your ALX dashboard, and then you paste it here, or you type it out. I mean, you can type anything here. So the same commands you use, right? The same commands you use on your ALX dashboard, they all work here, because this is a terminal, and this is Ubuntu operating system we're running right here. This is a Linux distribution. So any questions so far before I go over how to get to this stage? If there are no questions, let me just go over how you can now install this, okay? So I'm going to just minimize this, and then I'll go back to the VirtualBox, okay? Alright, so on VirtualBox, when you install, okay, how do you install VirtualBox? That's the first question. Let me not skip that. Let me just go here. So I'm just going to show you download VirtualBox. So once you'll see this first link you are seeing here. I'll click it, which is Oracle VM Box. Okay, now on this Oracle VM Box website, you have different options. So because you're using Windows, okay, so you just click on Windows, and you can see it's downloading about 104 megabyte, but I'll cancel this because I already have it. Now when you so when you've downloaded VirtualBox, right, the next thing you want to do is you want to download Ubuntu. You want to download Ubuntu okay. So if you go here now and I click download, you see that I'm able to download the Ubuntu software itself, the OS. Okay, I'm trying to recall the name I'm trying to talk about. But when you download this Ubuntu OS, you can come to VirtualBox here and then click on new. Okay, so when you click on new, you can type the name. For example, I'll just say Ubuntu session. Okay, any name you want to give it. Okay, or I can just say Ubuntu number 2, for instance, and machine folder here, and then the type, you set the type to Linux. You can actually set different types. For example, if I'm installing a Windows virtual machine, I'm going to say Windows, but since Ubuntu is a Linux distribution, you say Linux, and then you can change the version here. So if you go down, you see we have Red Hat, we have different distributions there. Okay, but of course we are interested in Ubuntu, so you just want to say Ubuntu, you want to say Ubuntu 64 here if you are using 64-bit operating system. Okay, then you click next. Okay, then you set the memory size. Now in the last one, you see that I set, okay, I didn't show you what I said, but I mean you can put it at 4 is okay. Okay, so I'll just put it at 4000, depending on how many gig RAM you are using on your computer. That is what you set here. So if you are using 8 gig RAM, you will see yours will be yours would show 8000. Okay, 8000 MB, that means 8 gig RAM. Okay, so me, I'm using 16 gig RAM, that's why you see this. And then I'm saying out of the 16 gig RAM, let 4 gig RAM be used for this VirtualBox. That's what I'm just saying here. That's this setup. Okay, so it says select amount of RAM in megabytes to be allocated to the virtual machine, and I'm saying allocate 4 gig RAM. Okay, now here I am now saying so yeah, what I was trying to recall is the image. Okay, the Ubuntu image. So the recommended size of the hard disk is 10 gig, and create a virtual hard disk now, or create using an existing virtual hard disk file. Okay, so, or you can just say do not add virtual hard disk, any one will work. So if you decide to create a virtual hard disk now, and you click on create, or if you decide to say create an existing virtual hard disk, I already have one which I've downloaded and I can select it here, but let me go with create a virtual hard disk now, and I'll click on create, and watch this. So here it says VDI, which is VirtualBox disk image, or VHD, virtual hard disk, or virtual machine disk. I'll go for the VDI, which is VirtualBox disk image. I'll click on next. And do you want fixed size or dynamically allocated? Okay, so I'll say dynamically allocated. I'll click on next, and you can increase this as you want. So I can decide to make it 20 gig, so you can type it directly here. That's the size of your hard disk. You know, like your computer has hard disks. Like mine, my hard disk is like 2 something gig. Okay, some people they have up to 1 terabyte, some people they have up to 500 gig, and so on and so forth. So I'll just say use 20 gig, okay, because I mean this is just for like practice. This is not really, this is not like my system or something. So 20 gig is more than enough. In fact, in the last one I used to do the tax, it was just 10 gig I put there. Okay, so I'll just say create, and you can see now we have Ubuntu 2 here. Previously we had just Ubuntu, which is currently running, right? So what I will now do is, someone is trying to join. Sorry, let me just admit this person. Okay, so this is the first one I created, and you saw how I demonstrated how to use this to solve the task. Now let me just shut this one down. Okay, so to shut down, just close it. It's going to ask you what you want to do. If you want to save the machine state, I'll just say power off machine. Okay, then now I have powered off that machine. Now I have for the person that just joined, we've not gone too far. I've created Ubuntu 2 here. Okay, now if you select Ubuntu 2 like this, you can select the settings. Okay, you see this settings is where you tie your disk image with your VirtualBox. Okay, is where you tell VirtualBox to use a particular disk image, and you can download the disk image by just going to Google and typing Ubuntu disk image for VirtualBox. It will give you the result, and you download it. Okay, so you know, when you want to install any operating system, you need the operating system itself, right? For example, if you want to install Windows, you need the Windows operating system. The same way, if you want to install Ubuntu machine on VirtualBox, you need the Ubuntu operating system. That's what we are referring to as this Ubuntu disk image. So now, on general, I mean, you can change the settings if you want. On system settings, what do we have there? You have these settings, so you can change the RAM. I mean, you can increase the RAM and so on and so forth. So if you look at okay, we don't have much to do on that display. Now storage. Okay, look at storage. You have controller ID, you have controller SATA, and you have this Ubuntu. Okay, now if you look at okay, on storage where you have Ubuntu, you can click this choose or create a virtual hard disk. Okay, so I can click this one which says choose a disk file or choose/create a virtual hard disk. So I can choose this, I can click this. Now look at if I go back to my VirtualBox installation, you know I said you should download the virtual disk image. Okay, but if I go back to my VirtualBox installation, which can be located here, program files, I think it's here. I think it's under Oracle. So if you go under Oracle, yeah, you see the VirtualBox. Now you can see the one I downloaded. Look at it, Ubuntu, right? Virtual disk image Ubuntu. So you can select the virtual disk image which you have downloaded there. Okay, and then you click OK. But before we click OK, let us see some other settings. So you have nothing to set here. Network, I mean, you have nothing to set in all these ones, but this you select Ubuntu for the controller, and then let's check this out. Okay, secondary device. Okay, we can just use this and say okay. Then once we say okay, we can click on start. Okay, so you click on start and you give it some time. Now can you see now that it's saying please select a virtual optical disk file, and you know the disk should be suitable for starting a computer. Okay, so I'm going to come back here and look at this. Is the one we downloaded. This is the one I downloaded, Ubuntu 22.04, right, desktop, and I'll just say choose. Okay, and I'll click on start. Now I'm actually installing this now. Okay, so it says try or install Ubuntu save and so on and so forth. So you can change this if you want. I'm going to say try or install, enter. Okay, I just hit the enter key and give it some time. It's currently running. It's currently running, so you just allow it. Alright, so while this is running, if you have any question, you can drop the questions. I will be responding to them. Okay, I don't want to close this. I want you to see everything as it happens. Okay, so we just give it some time. Now it's going to run. Another thing is downloading the Ubuntu disk image. Okay, I've shown you the website. You can simply just do a search on Google. If you do a search on Google, it's going to give you exactly what you are looking for, and you can download from there. So you see it's still running, it's still loading. What is happening is in the first instance where I started my machine, I have already installed it. So you saw that one happened very fast, right? You just saw the machine you saw me just you know, brought the machine. But now I'm trying to like use a new machine, and you see this is actually taking longer to process my request. So once this is done, we will have two Ubuntu virtual machines running on this virtual box. And as a matter of fact, you can even, so you see now this is installed now. So you see this is what you will get when you are installing yours. This is exactly what you get. You see English, and I'll say install Ubuntu or try Ubuntu. So I'll just say install Ubuntu, right? And I'll choose my language. I mean, if you don't speak English, you can choose any other language you want, right? And I'll just leave it as English. And 1 second, let me just shift this thing a little. Okay, here I will say continue. You can see the continue button. After selecting your language, you say continue. Now you can choose normal installation, okay, and download updates. You can just leave this as is, or if you like, you can say minimal installation, but I chose the normal installation to do this, and click on continue. And then you give it some time. So it's going to complete my installation for me, right? So if you have a system, so the computer currently has Ubuntu. So look at, for me now, because I already have Ubuntu, it's telling me the computer currently has Ubuntu, this same version on it. Would you like to reinstall it, or would you like to erase this and install Ubuntu, or what do you want to do really, or something else? Okay, you can create or resize partition yourself. So for me, if you don't have Ubuntu, so you won't get this screen. For you, it will just keep installing, and then you'll see that it will install and start up Ubuntu for you. Okay, so for me, I'll just say install now. Okay, so that you see exactly how the process start. No EFT system partition was found. The system will likely not be able to boot successfully, and install process may fail. So I'll just say continue. Okay, no partition of table, no creation of files has been planned. Maybe aware that existing file may prevent sources installation. Okay, so what is happening is, because I already have Ubuntu installed and the same version, and trying to install it on a virtual box without creating any partition, I'm having these warnings. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just saying continue, and of course you select, I just select Lagos. It's asking me where are you now. It's telling, it would ask you for your name, your computer's name, and stuffs like that. Okay, so I'll just say Innocent, and if I say Innocent, it's just going to say Innocent virtual box. Innocent, you can decide to choose a password or leave it empty. I'm just going to choose a password. Okay, and confirm your password. Okay, and once you do this, you click on continue. You can decide to require my password to log in, or log in automatically, anyone you want. So I'll click on continue, and now you see what happens is it's now installing, and over here you see it says removing conflicting operating system files. Okay, because I already have this. So if you don't have this, this is exactly what you would get, and then once you install it, you can now start up the machine. Okay, and the way you start up the machine, once again, you are going to notice that you have the machine here, and then click on that machine and click start. Okay, now you see it currently says running. So I mean, if it says powered off, then you can, here is going to say start, then you can click on start and start the machine. So once you start the machine, you have access to the same terminal that you see. So you see it's still installing, but once you start the machine, someone is trying to join. Okay, alright, so once you start the machine, you have access to exactly the same PowerShell which you have. I'm just going to open this and go to okay, I'll go to the projects. Okay. I'm trying to projects foundations. Okay, I guess when you are done with the project, it doesn't show up here. Am I correct? I was trying to open the project. Okay, let me just open my sandbox and show you what I'm talking about. So you know, on the sandbox you can have access to this web terminal, right? This web terminal you see is the same thing as what you are having on your terminal here. Okay, so this is still, the installation is still ongoing, but once the installation is done, then everything you have on this web terminal, or everything you can do on this web terminal, right? Everything you can do on this web terminal, sorry, CD, I meant to write CD. Everything you can do on this web terminal, you can also do on the virtual machine. Okay, so it is the virtual machine that will help you to complete the optional tasks. Alright, so I believe we all get it up to this point. Any question? If you have questions, you can ask your questions. If you have questions, you can ask your questions. So let this install. When this installs, I will now show you how you can connect to your GitHub account, then how you can, I mean, everything basically. Once you are able to install this, you can continue with the task. So if you want me to continue, just type continue in the chat, so that I can move ahead with the other questions that was asked and why this is currently being installed. So I have installed both, but I can't see the interface that I'm seeing now on your screen. Yes, follow the same steps and you will see the interface. If you have installed the VirtualBox, you would see it here, okay, as Oracle VM VirtualBox. Okay, so it will be here, and once you click it, you would have this interface, right? And when you have this interface, then you follow the steps to install the virtual machine, which is Ubuntu, on your computer. Okay, any question? Please, if you want me to continue, just type continue so that I'll move ahead with other questions. Type continue in the chat if you want me to continue. If you have questions, ask the questions, please. You can unmute yourself and ask, but if you want me to continue, just type continue. Okay, so only one person is typing, other people. All right. Okay, so let me talk about the permissions. Okay, let me talk about the permission tags. Like, maybe you help me by giving me specific questions, but let us, so we are in the root folder. Okay, I believe everyone understands basic navigation, but let us create a new folder called test. And the way you create a folder is you say mkdir, okay, which means make directory, and I'm going to call this folder test, okay, TEST, and I'll hit enter. Okay, now I'm working with the ALX web terminal. Okay, so if I do ls now, you see I have test as one of the folders. You will notice that the color of the folders, some are showing in blue and some are showing in white. The ones that are showing in blue means it's a folder or a directory. A folder and a directory mean the same thing. Okay, so you hear me saying folder because I am a Windows person. You hear some other person saying directory because they use Linux. Okay, so it's folder, directory, same thing, right? Then the ones you see as white, they are files. Okay, they are files. Now there are two ways to create a file in Linux. A file, two ways, or maybe more than two, but I know two ways that I can use to create a file. Okay, or I'll tell you three ways. Now the first way I'll say is I'm going to go into that text folder. Now I'm inside test. The way you check where you are currently in is pwd, which means print working directory. If I do this pwd command, you'll see it tells me you are in root/test. Okay, this is your current working directory. Pwd means print working directory. Now I'll check what are the folders and files I have inside this pwd. I'll use ls to do that. Now when I type ls, you see nothing is outputted to my terminal, so I have nothing currently in my test folder which I just created. There is another ls-l command. ls-l command shows you the long version. If I type this, you see I have total 0, which means I have nothing inside test folder. Okay, there is one more command you use with the ls, one more argument. Use ls-a. Okay, if I do this now, you see I have dots and I have dot. What this ls-a, so I'm going to say ls-a means all, means I want to list all the files in my current directory in a long format. Okay, if I hit this now, you see I have total, and then I have something interesting going on. Now this dot simply means current directory. Why this dot means you want to go back one step. Okay, one thing that helped me to easily, now personally I don't use Linux, okay? I don't use Linux. I'm a Windows. I've been using Windows ever since. Maybe this program allowed me to really explore Linux. But one thing that helped me understand this Linux platform easily, or using this terminal easily, is the fact that on Windows I am able to use the command prompt very well, conveniently, to do everything I'm doing here. I can do it on command prompt on Windows. The commands are a little bit different, and I'll show you the nuances between these commands, okay? So now it will help you to be able to tie your knowledge of Windows command prompt to this Linux machine, right? Now I'll open up a command prompt. How did I get this thing to open up? I typed Windows key and R. So this Windows key and R is going to give you this box, and you can just type anything here. For example, I want to open CMD, so I'll type CMD and hit my enter key. If I hit my enter key, this is going to open up the Windows command prompt, okay? Most of you will find this difficult because you don't even understand your Windows machine that you are using, okay? Now the LS now the way I want to, let's say I want to create a test folder on Windows, okay? How do I create it? The first thing is, now this is the folder where I'm currently at, okay? The equivalence of ls command in Windows is called dir, which means I want to list all the directory in that folder. Now if I want to go into a particular directory on Windows, I just have to use cd and the name of the directory, okay, which is, let's say I want to go into desktop. If I want to clear, maybe this thing is too much, I'll do cls, okay? But if you want to clear this thing you have on Linux, you type clear, clear, the actual word. If I do the same clear on Windows, I'll get error, okay? Windows does not recognize this, but instead Windows prefers cls, or this is the command to clear your command prompt, okay, or your Windows terminal, okay? Now the next thing is, I want to create a test folder, but before I create a test folder, let me check the folders that are currently on my desktop, and you can see the folders here currently on my desktop. So how do I create a test folder? I'll use the make directory, the same command I use on Linux. It also works on Windows, okay? Or there is another command for Windows, which is md, which means make directory, and I'll just type test here, and you see it has created a test folder. Why? How do I know? Because I have no errors. So how do I verify that I created a text folder? Once again, dir, like this, and you see over here I have this test. Can you see? I have this test. So I can go into the test folder by doing cd test, okay? And then let me clear this. Now you see I'm currently on my test folder, okay? On Windows, I can also create a file on Windows machine inside command prompt. How do I do that? First, I'll show you how to create an empty file on Windows. Very simple command. All you need to do is do this command. Say type no, right? And you put this greater than symbols and the name of the file you want to create. Let's say I want to create a file called main.py, which is going to be a Python file, okay? All I need to do is say this, type no and /main.py. I'll hit enter. No errors. That means this file has been created. Now let me list the files, that the directories and files that are inside test by hitting dir. Now you see that we have main.py. now the first time I tried this, you see nothing was outputted to my command prompt, okay? Now you see, now I have main.py there. Another way to create a file in Windows is using this echo command, okay? Now if I type this echo, what it's expecting is expecting me to give it exactly what I want to put in that file. So this is not going to be an empty file, okay? Now using the type command, you see we have 0 bytes, which means the file is empty, okay? If I do echo and I just do print, which is going to be, of course, a Python command, that you know or you may not know. So I'm going to say print, and inside here I'll just say hello world, okay, like this. And this is an actual Python code, okay, and I'll use this greater than again to say what is going to be the name of this file, okay. So I'll just say code.py, okay, or index.py. I think that's a better name, and I'll hit enter, and you see I have no errors, okay. Now once again I can do dir, and you see now I have index.py and I have main.py, okay. Now I'll do cls. I can decide to open this file in Vim, for instance, and show you that everything I did is actually present. So to do that, you may try to use Vim on Windows and it's not going to work for you because you have not installed it, okay. You need to first install Vim if you are going to use it on Windows, okay. So if I type Vim and I type code, sorry, not code, I used index. If I type Vim and index.py, you'll see it's going to open this up in Vim, and you can see the file, okay. So you can even start editing right here, okay, and you can just start editing your file. So what am I trying to tell you really? Now when I'm done, I'm going to say escape. I'm going to save this with WQ, okay, and I'm back to my command prompt. What am I trying to tell you is that many of us do not even know that our Windows machine is capable of doing all this. Someone is trying to join. Let me just admit. So many of us don't even know your Windows machine is even capable of doing all this. Then when you switch to a Linux based operating system, you are having these issues you are currently having. So my advice is, if you are using Windows, spend some time, practice the command prompt, because it's easier to grab the concept of a command prompt, because you know that you know how to create a folder with the graphical user interface, right? Let's say I want to create a folder on my desktop without command prompt, right? All I need to do is, let me go back here, I will just right click and say new folder, right, and say new folder like this, and click on folder, and then I'll write the name of the folder, okay. Let's say the name of the folder is house, okay. Now I've created a folder. This same thing I've done creating this folder, you can do it on the command prompt. Create a file on the command prompt, run your programs and see how it works on command prompt. Then going back to Linux, you would have a better solid understanding of how to go about some of all these commands that I'm going to now discuss with you on Linux based operating system. Alright, if you have any question, feel free to ask me. If you don't have any question, type continue. No questions, type continue in the chat. But if you have any questions, please ask me. If you have questions, unmute and ask me. No questions, everyone should type continue so that I can continue what I'm talking about. Okay, good, continue. Okay, good. Alright, so the same commands I've shown you on the CMD, it's just the same thing. All we are just doing is changing some of this syntax, okay. Now I told you that I normally create files in 3 different ways. Number one, either I want to create an empty file, or I want to use the echo command. That means I'll have some text in the file, okay, or I want to create a file from my editor, either Vim or VI or Emacs, okay. Personally, I prefer Vim, okay, because I don't know, you may use Emacs or use VI and decide that oh, I prefer Emacs, for instance, and go with the flow. Whatever is comfortable for you, that is what you should stick to, okay, because at the end of the day, you will discover that VI is on every, okay, 99% of every Linux based operating system have VI installed already, okay. 99%, if not even 100%, have VI installed, okay. So next thing, we want to check what folders are currently in test with the ls command, and you see we have no folders. But I was talking about something before I digressed a little to show you that you can do the same in visual, you can do the same in CMD, Windows CMD, okay. When I did ls ls-al. This A means give me all the files, including hidden files, okay? And L means list them in a long format, okay? So if I do this, you will see that I have something interesting going on here. Let me increase this thing so that you see it well. Let me clear this. So clear, remember I told you that's how you clear that, and then I'll do that again. So ls-al. Something is going on here. You will see that I'll explain exactly what's going on, but I think I need to back off a little and then bring out my pen to explain this to you. Okay, someone is trying to join, sorry. Now when you list this bit right here, you discover that on this first line, okay, change this to white, on this line here, this one right here, we have, let me write it out, we have d r w x r dash x r dash x, then we have 2, and then we have roots, and we have roots. Okay, so what is happening is that this D you are seeing here means it is a directory. Okay, I will explain it one by one. The D means it's a directory. Now this root means the user, okay, and this is what the group it belongs to. Okay, so I will now explain exactly what is happening. These are the permissions. These 3 shows the permission for the user, the permission the user has. This one shows the permission for group, okay? This one here shows the permission for others. So this user, group, and others are represented as U, G, and O for what? User, group, and every other person. Okay, so these are the 3 people that can have access to this directory. These are the, once again, these are the 3 people that have access to this directory. And what's the name of the directory? The current directory. That's why you see this dot here. The current directory. Why dot dot means go back one step. Dot dot here refers to root. Okay, you know when we did pwd, let me do pwd again so that you see what we have. pwd means print working directory. pwd, like this. You see we are in root and then test. Okay, if I want to go back one step to root, all I need to do is cd dot dot, like this. If I do cd dot dot, you see now it takes me back to root. If I do pwd now, you see I'm now in root. Okay, so I'm going to continue with my explanation. Now this R means read, okay, W means write, and X means executable. How do I spell execute? Am I really forgetting that spelling? Execute. I hope it's correct. Okay, I've forgotten the spelling. I'm sorry guys, it happens. Okay, so this is execute. Now the same thing, that means this next batch r-x, this directory, the group in this directory is going to have read permission, but it will not have write permission. Oh, you see, write permission, nothing, not write permission, X for that. Or let me not use X so that you will not get confused. Let me use this. So this doesn't have write permission, but it has read permission, and it also have what? It also has execute permission. Then for the last one, the same thing For others, every other user has read permission, no what? No write permission, and what? Execute. Why user? Any user has read, write, and execute. Okay? Any questions so far? Now let me now show you how you can create a file. Okay, so to create a file, it's very simple. 3 commands I will show you. The first is empty file. And how do I create empty file? I'm going to type touch. Okay, what's happening? Okay, working now. Okay, touch and the name of the file. Okay, so for example, I want to create a file called main.py inside test. All I need to say is file, is say touch, and then main.py. okay, enter. No errors. That means this file has been created successfully. Now the second way to create a file is using the echo command. Very simple again. All you need to do is say echo like this, and then what do you want to include in that file? For example, I want to include the shebang line. Okay, and you know how do you do that shebang? You do it like this, hash and this, and then you say slash and you say bin dash bash. Okay, so this is the shebang symbol. Now what is going to be the name of the file you want to echo this thing into? Okay, and the name of the file is going to be, let's call this my my file. Okay, that's the name of the file. Hit enter and you see I have no errors. Now if I do, remember I told you I'll show you 3 ways, and then before I show you the last way, let me just show you what we have currently in this root. Okay, notice that I have been creating these files in my root directory, and I didn't mean to create them in my root directory, but I will show you how to move this file into my test. Okay, and this didn't happen on purpose. It's actually a mistake on my part, but I'll show you now how you can move these files instead of going to root directory and starting to create all the files one by one again. Now let us check our pwd, present working directory. We are in root. Now if we go into test, okay, which is cd into test like this, you see now we are in test. Let's check for pwd now. You see it says we are in test. Now let's check the files that we created if they are truly in our test folder. So I'll do ls, and you see I have nothing. If I even do ls-al, which means list all the files in a long format, you see I have the files I just created are not there. But if I go back using the cd ... command, it takes me back to root. Now if I do ls, you see I have the files we just created here. What are the files? main.py and what? And what's the second file? My file. Okay, I guess yes, that's the second file, my file. Now look, I can check the content of main.py and the content of my file using this cat command. Okay, now cat main.py to check the content. You see nothing happens, nothing comes out. But if I check the same cat of my file, for instance, you see that I have this shebang line which I included using echo command. Okay, how do I now move these files to my test folder? Very simple, guys. All you need to do is use the move command. Okay, now this move command is used to do 2 things. Number 1 is used to move a file from one folder to another folder, or from one directory to another directory. Remember, you always hear me saying folder, right? Because I'm a Windows person. It will take me some time to even start saying directory really. But this mv means you want to either move the file from one directory to another directory, or you want to rename the file. Okay, or you want to rename the file. So what do we want to do now? We are not renaming, we want to move a file. Okay, and I'll show you how you can use it to rename a file. Okay, now let's say I want to rename this file I created called my file, and I want to rename it your file. How do I do this? I'll use this move command, and I'll say my file, and what's the new name I want to give it? Your file. Okay, hit enter, no errors. Now if I do ls command again, you see that there is no my file anymore here, but you now have your file. Okay, you can check the content of your file to see that it still stays the same, and you see it still has the shebang symbol. Now how do I now move? I just showed you how you use the mv command to rename a file, but how do you move files? You do that by saying mv and then the name of the files you want to move. So for me, I want to move main.py first. I can do it at once. I can say main.py and your file. I can move both at once. Okay, so let me just move both at once because of time. Okay, and then the directory I want to move them into. And what's the name of that directory? The name of that directory is what? Test. All right, if I hit enter, target test is not a directory. Okay, I wish sure test is not a directory. /test is not a directory. Okay, sorry. So I'm just going to write test really. Hit enter, and let me clear this so you can see it. So I didn't need to put slash there, just write test. It's going to move it. Now if I do pwd once again, you see I'm inside root. Let us go into test, which is this cd test. Now I'm inside test. If I do ls now, watch. Now I have main.py and your file inside test. Remember how I moved this? All I needed to do was say move the name of the folder and the directory you want to move it into. Okay, now let us check the permissions that we have on main.py and your file which we just created. Okay, now how do we check the permissions we have? Very simple. All you need to do is say ls, okay, -a and l. Okay, if I do ls-al, it's going to list all the it's going to list out all the files, including the permissions, and in long format. Okay, now you see that we have current directory, then we have previous directory, or you want to take it back. Okay, back one step, that is the root directory. Okay, or the parent directory, and in our case the parent directory is what? The roots, right? That's going back one step. Then we have main.py, which is here, and you see the permissions we have for main.py. Okay, and then we have your file, and you can see the permissions we have for your file. Okay, so now what we now do is we now start changing permissions on these files. Remember the key is actually understanding what this permission thing is talking about. That is just what it is. If you look at this thing we have listed here, we have, for the first one, you will see D. Okay, you will see D again. Now this one, it starts with dash, and it starts with dash. Anywhere you see D, that means it's a directory. Anywhere you see dash, that means it's a what? A file. That's what it means. Okay, now then I told you, after you take the first one, the next thing you need to consider, for example, let's take this your file as a case study, and let's write out what we have there. We have dash w dash 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 dash. Okay, now this dash here means it's a file. Then the next set of command is w dash. Now you can, the three permissions you can have on a file is what? Read, write, and execute. Read, write, and execute. These are the 3 permissions that you can have on a file or a directory. Okay, if I have -w dash, that means this file has read, write, but it does not have execute. This first portion means for the user. Okay, for the user. Now the second part, --, is for the group. Okay, and this --, is that the group has read, but it does not have write, and it does not have what? Execute. Okay, good. Now the next one now is for any other person on this computer that is not the user or the group. For others have just read permission, right? No write, no execute. So let's start changing the permission. So when you change the permission, the way you verify that permission you have changed it is to do this ls-a command once again, and it will tell you, oh, these are the new permissions you have now, right? Okay, now let's see that. Any questions so far? Any questions? If you have questions, please unmute your mic and ask. If you don't have questions, once again, everybody type continue in the chat. If I see your continue, I'm going to fire down. Okay, yeah. Okay, Wilfred, continue. Samuel, continue. Who else? I'm waiting for you to type your messages. Okay. So, I believe, yeah, okay. Everyone is saying you can continue. Okay, great. So, we are understanding this thing. Okay, so let's start changing the permissions. Now, how do we change permission? Let me explain that thing to you. You use the chmod command, okay, to change mode. That is what is literally called. Ch means change mode, okay, and that's how you change the permission of the files. Okay, so for example, let's say this main.py file, you see that the user, which is you, it does not have executable permission. Remember, read is R, write is W, and execute is X. Okay, for the user, the user of this system is represented as U. The group is represented as G. Why? The what? The other users is represented as O. So this is what? User. This G is group, and this is O. Others. This is read. This is read. This means write, and this X means what? You can execute that file. That is what it means. Execute, which means you can execute that file. Okay, let's continue. If I want to change the permission for user in this main.py, all I have to do is chmod, right? Then I will now say the user, which is you. What permission do I want to add? For example, you will now say plus. Which of the permission do I want to add here? Let's say this one does not have execute, which is X. I will now say please add execute permission to my user. Alright, and then the name of the file or the directory I want to work on. So for this is going to be what? Main.py. So if we run this command now, chmod u plus x main.py, and we now check, you will see that here is now going to say X over here. Okay, so let me run this command so that you see. Somebody's trying to join. Okay, nobody's trying to join. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so let's run this command so you see what I'm talking about. I'll now do ch mode, okay, and then I'm saying for the user group, add, which is the plus, executable permission on which of the files? main.py. If I hit enter, nothing happens, okay, but let us now check the permissions that we have. To check the permissions you have, you want to do ls-al. Once again, hit enter. Now if you look at main.py, you will see we now have this dash, but here you now have arrow wx, okay. Notice that before you have arrow w dash, but now after changing the permission, you now have what? Arrow wx for the user, okay, for the user. If we want to change the permission for, let's say, group, for instance, the same command, all we need to do is we just change this u to what? G for group, okay. So we change this u to G, which means for the group I want to add executable permission, okay, on main.py. If I come back here and I hit enter, and then let's run our ls-al again, you see now I have, for this main.py is what we are considering. Can you see? For group I now have x here. Initially for group I have dash, but now I have x because I have added executable permission for the group, okay. The same way you want to add, let's say you want to okay, if we look at we want to add write permission for others, for others. So what you do is you come back here in the G, now you change it to O for others. Let's add executable permission for others first, okay, and I'll hit enter, and then let's run it again, ls-al, and now you see that what I've done is I've added read write x for user, I have added x for group, and I've also added x for others, which you can see here. Right now, let me clear this. Okay, so you see now my Windows knowledge is conflicting with my Linux, so I'm supposed to type clear, not cls. Oh, admit all. Okay, so so what I will do is I'm going to type clear now, clear, clear. Okay, for those that are just joining us, you are welcome. You joined late. We've covered a lot of stuff, sorry, but I will go over some of the stuff for you, but the recording is available, so no problem. Okay, more people joining. Alright, so sorry guys, just to admit the people that are joining. Okay, so now this is one of the easiest way to actually change the permission, but there is another way, which is, I don't know if that is even easier, but I will explain it and you will understand it. Now the other way is you can use the numbers. So see, this x and this okay, so we have read write and execute permissions. Let me just clear my screen. So we have read, write and execute permission. Now this read you are seeing is actually represented with the number 6. Okay, is that? Yes, I think so. It's actually represented with the number 6. W is represented with the number 4, and X is represented with the number 1. I believe. I'll confirm this, please. I'll confirm this now. But in other words, what this means is, so if you understand the first explanation I did, you can actually use that change any file. Okay, so supposing, let's take a typical question that tells you change the add read and write permission to user and add execute permission to others. Okay, this is the question. Add read and write permission to user and add execute permission to others. Very simple. How do you do that? First you want to list your permissions, okay, with ls-al like this. Okay, let's consider this your file, okay, and we are saying in your file we want to add read and write permission, okay, to user. If you notice here, your file already has read and write permission, but for others we want to add execute. Okay, so let's modify the question so that we can understand it better. We want to add execute permission to read to user, and we also want to add execute permission to others, but we don't even want to add it to what group. How do you do that? Very simple. You use the ch mode, and then you now identify the user. So the user is you, and what do you want to add to the user? You want to add execute permission to the user. Then you use a comma to separate that, and you now say for others I want to add execute as well. You will notice that if I now say file, what's the name of the file? Your file. Okay, if I do this now, you see now I will now check ls-al like this, and then now look at your file. Now I have execute for what? User. I also have execute for what? For others. Do you understand? But this same thing you did, you can do it using numbers. Okay, so you can do it using numbers, and I will explain the numbers quickly, but let me show you an example. Okay, so if I do ch mode and I do 777, okay, and I do your file, okay, like this. Okay, if I do ch mode 777 your file, this is going to make, so what this will do is both the user, the group, and others, they are going to have every permission possible. Let me show you. So if I hit enter and I do ls and I do -al like this, now watch your file. You see everybody has read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, based on this ch mode 777 your file. Let me now take my time to explain this numbering that we use as against the other pattern. Remember, the other pattern we used was something like this. Let me use a different pen so you can see it. The other pattern we used was something like this. Okay, something like this. Now we are using another pattern, which is this numbering, which you are seeing here. Okay, you just put the number. How do we achieve this using 777? I said read. Remember, it's normally read, write, execute. Okay, for the first one, read takes read takes 6, write takes 4, and execute takes 1. Okay, so let's say for user we want to add read, only read permission. That means everything here will be 0. Okay, that means we don't need this and we don't need this. Then the final number for user now will be 6. Okay, that means we are adding read permission for this. Okay, now what if we want to add only write permission? So we have arrow, W, and X. 1 second, I just want to back off and check the numbering I'm talking about, if because I don't have this cramped. So let me just search for, and this is how you get it. Okay, decimal, is it decimal? Yeah, decimal number for read read, write, execute. I just want to be sure of what I'm telling you, the numbering system. Okay, decimal number for read, write, execute, and Linux. Okay. Okay, so you can see RWX is going to be 7, RW is going to be 6, and what, RW is 6, and then R is 4. Okay, so read is 4, and let me see. Okay, so read is 4. What about write? Write is, I think write is 1, I guess, but let me just go into this and check it. Okay, so these are the commands we are looking for. I'm just going to clear my screen so you can see it. These are the permissions we are looking for when we're talking about the decimal notation. Okay, if you have 0, that means none. 1 is execute. Okay, so I think I may have gotten it the other way around. So 1 is execute, 2 is for this, right, and then 3 is for WX. Okay, why 4 is R. So what we are interested in is R, which is, let me write it, R, which is 4, 1, X, which is 1, and W, which is what, 2. Okay, so 4, 1, 2, right? This is what we are interested in. R, X, and W. 4, 1, and 2. Okay, or I like to say R. I would like to say, instead of this, let me say it like this. Let's put, this is a better way to understand it and retain it. R, W, and X. So R is 4, W is 2, and X is 1. 4, 2, 1. Okay, now let me come back to my explanation and explain that particular thing I was trying to say to you. Okay, so please don't forget this RWX, and which is 4, 2, 1. Okay, now what this means is if I have something like this, right, R, W, and X, that means R, remember R is 4, W is what, 2, and X is 1. If you add these numbers together, you are going to get what, 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is what, 7, right? That means you are giving everything here 7. This is how you understand this. So now the next one, we have RWX again. Okay, so if you take this first one, which is RWX, the next one is RWX, this one now is RWX. Okay, that means that's how we now get 7 for this one. We have another RWX, which is what, 7. We have another RWX, which is what, 7. That's why if you do CH mode 777, is going to give you read, write X, read RWX, 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 which is read, write, execute for everything. Okay, now what assuming we want to do, we want to pick this now, this particular one, and all we have there is what, D. Someone is trying to join. Sorry, let me admit the person so the person does this view. Admit all. Okay, all right, for those just joining us, we have started a long time, and we are going to, there is a recording, so maybe I'll just drop the recording so everyone can see. Now what is happening here is that, let's take this part for example and interpret the decimal notation if we are going to talk about the permissions. Okay, so this part now is D, R, W, X. Okay, and then we have dash 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 dash, and the name of the file is what, dot dot. Remember I said this dot dot means go back a step. or it means what? The parent directory. Okay, the parent directory. Now look at this arrow here. Remember, arrow stands for what? 4. So let's take this first one, then we'll now take the second one, then we'll now take the third one. Then we will see what the corresponding decimal number will be if we want to replicate this permission on another directory. And we are going to replicate this same permission on another directory using the decimal number we are going to calculate now. So the first one, remember, arrow is going to be what? 4, W is going to be what? 2, and what? X is going to be 1. That means this first one we take 7. The second one, arrow here is 0, W is 0, and what? X is 0. It will now be 0. The third one, it will be 0, 0, 0. That will be 0. That means if you want to replicate this permission on another directory, all you need to do is just say chmod 700 and the name of the directory, okay, and the name, sorry, NAME, and the name of the directory. So if you do this command now, you are going to get exactly this same permission you have here, and we will explore and see that it's the correct thing. This same command which you are seeing as chmod 700 name, you can also achieve it using this former method which we saw. How can you achieve that using the former method which we saw? Very simple. You do chmod now, and we want both the user, we want the group, and we want what? The others to have how many permission? We want them to have read, write, and executable permission on the name of the file. So this command you are seeing here and this command, they are the same thing. Okay, this command is the same as this command. Okay, so what we do now, any question? If you have questions, unmute and ask. If you have any question, unmute and ask. Some people are waiting to enter the call. Okay. Yeah, I've admitted everybody. Questions, just unmute yourself and ask. Okay, if there are no questions in the chat, type continue so that I'll continue. If there are no questions, type continue in the chat. Okay. I'm waiting. Okay, saying continue. Okay, so now let me go back to this one now. This place not here. Okay, here, right? So I'm going to type ls. You see this, and it has main.py and it has your file. Okay, so ls-a and l will list out all my files and the permissions they have. Okay, now remember that permission we did, which is chmod, which is change the mode, and the decimal number 700. Okay, and okay, no, before we do that, let us create a new file, right? And to create a new file is very simple. Now I will use the third method I talked about in creating a new file. You remember I told you there are 3 methods I normally use. The first method is I use touch command. The second method is I use echo command. I'm going to just write that. The first method I normally use is this touch command. The second method is what? Echo command. And the third method, I use the editor directly. So I normally use Vim to create a file. So I have shown you how to do this. Then now let's use Vim to create a file now. Very simple. All you need to do is type Vim. All you need to do, I'm going to clear this first. Now just type Vim and the name of the desired file you want to create. Okay, so let's say the name of the file I want to create is new file, and I'll hit enter, and you see this new file has been created in Vim. So let us just add something in Vim. To edit in Vim, just type I, which is for insert mode. You are not going to see it because okay, if you scroll down here, you see now it says insert, right? So I didn't want to scroll down, I just want to type. So now you can start typing. So let's add this shebang symbol, for instance, and you put bin and then you put /bash, okay? And once you are done, you can hit enter and type your necessary command, okay? So for example, let's say, what is the command to add all permissions to a file? What is the command to add all permissions to a file? That command, we saw it is chmod and 777, all the permissions. When read, write and execute, and you want to add it to the user, the group and others, okay? And then the name of the file, let's say the name of the file is hello, for instance, okay? And then to save this, you just press escape, you press shift and column, and you press WQ. Now what I just pressed, look at it under here, I pressed shift and this column sign and WQ, and once you are okay with this, enter. It will save and it will return back here. Let us now check ls command to see that that file is created. Look at the file, new file. We can use the cat command to check what is inside new file, and you see this is what we put inside new file, okay? Now let us check the permission that we have on new file. How do you do that? ls-al and then enter, and you see the permission on new file is currently arrow. So new file, let's interpret this. For those that are just joining us, let's just interpret what this is. New file here, let's interpret what it's saying. This dash that you see, the first dash here, it means this is a file. Then we have arrow w dash, it means the user group has read, write and what? Execute permission. Okay, the next thing you now see is what? Arrow dash dash. This arrow dash dash means the group has what? Read, only read permission. There is no write here and no execute, which means dash dash, okay? Then the last one is arrow dash dash. Others have what? Only read permission. Now we want to use this command that we saw here, that we actually came up with this command step by step, okay? How did we come up with this command? Remember, we have 4, 2 and 1, okay? So we came up with this for our read, write and executable. I hope that's correct. Read, write, executable. And then we know that, okay, if we do that, we will have 777. Are we on the same page? Okay, so I'm going to clear that now, and then I will now change the permission using that command for my new file, and let's just see that what we calculated is actually the correct answer. So I'll do chmod, and then I'll do 700, not 777. Remember, we want to use 700 because we want to make our new file permission the same as what we have on which of the permissions? On this directory permission, this one, this directory, this one here. We want to make this new file the same as this. I will just illustrate that so that you are clear, right? We want to make this permission here same as this. That means what you have here will be what you have here now after we do this. So if we do chmod 777, I'm going to clear this. Okay, sorry. Okay, so if we do chmod 777, then we need to put the name of the file, which is new file, like this, enter. Now let's now check our changes. How? ls-al, like this, enter. Now watch this. You see that now what we have on new file here is exactly the same as the permission we have on our directory. Can you see? Because we calculated, you see that this, no, not that, sorry. You see that this, what we have in this directory here, is the same now as what we have in new file. Can you see that? But before, they were different. Before, what we have there was this, and what we have here on new file was this. But after we ran this command, which is to change it, this command here, you see that they are now what? This and this. They now have the same directory. Okay. Any question? Questions? So I'm waiting for questions. If you have any question, you can unmute and ask me. If there are no questions, I believe everyone understands this, and you will be able to solve the git permission task. But if there are specific questions that you have, just ask, and I can just explain. So I'm waiting for your questions, everyone. Okay, no questions. I believe I've been able to cover the git permission tags. Since I'm waiting for questions and there are no questions, yeah, unmute and ask your question. If you have questions, just unmute and ask.
Okay. My name is Yagi.
All right, I'm innocent.
Okay. If I need to change, I'm having one challenge like that. If I need to change permission for a directory and the subdirectory, but omit the files inside the subdirectory, what do I do? Because what I did before was, we are not allowed to use semicolon, which
Yes.
give me a problem.
Yes, let me answer.
So I don't know whether there's another methods to use.
Yes, let me answer the question. Yeah. Okay. I will give you. This is what I will do, because of the, you know that I'm not allowed to tell you the direct answer. Okay, because I may be penalized, right? I'm going to share this video, and so everybody will see it, including the team at ALX. So I don't want to give you the direct answer, because I know that is a specific question from the tax. Okay, but I will tell you generally what happens. Okay, generally, and this should help you solve it. Okay, now, I like using CLS, I don't know why. Now, when you want to change every folder or every file in a specific directory, you want to change every folder and every file, you use this -r flag. Okay, you use -r flag, right? Now, when you want to so let me show you something. If you type man chmod like this, now man chmod will give you a kind of everything that you need to know about chmod command. Everything. Look at this -r flag, which means recursive, and that means you want to change files and directories recursively. Okay, now if you keep going down, okay, that's it. I'm just going to type Q to quit that. I'm going to type chmod -help and this. Okay, all right. Remember that when you want to add executable permissions, right, you use something like this, chmod, and then let's say you want to add executable permissions to user group. Okay, and you want to add this executable permission for you want to add it for user group, so you do plus and then you do X. Okay, and then you do the name of the file. Watch this, you are going to understand where I'm going. And then you do the name of the file. This is going to add executable permission for the user in main.py. That's the main.py file. Is going to add executable permission. Now I want you to look at this part critically, and you saw how I got here. It says chmod -- help. Look at this part critically. Each mode is of the form UGOA, which I just explained. This U means what? User. G means group. O means others. A means all. A means, instead of typing UGOA, instead of typing UGO, I can simply just type what? A. Which means every other thing. Then you want to add it plus or minus. This plus or minus means that either you want to add a permission, which is plus, or you want to remove a permission. For example, let's say this main.py already have executable permission. If I want to remove the executable permission, I'll do -x. Okay? Now, what I want you to critically look at is this part here. Okay? See, arrow is for what? Read. W is for write. Small x is for what? Execute. Now, big X is where the trick is. This big X. So what happens when you do big X? What happens? The question I'm asking you now is, what happens when you do the big X command like this? Sorry. Plus, and instead of small x, you are now doing big X. So notice that they are putting X, they are putting big X, they are putting S, and they are putting T. Okay? So my question is, what happens when you do big X? Then if you find out what happens, then how can you now make this recursive? That is the concept on how you can easily solve that, and try it. I hope that helps. Any other question?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I will check now. Thank you.
Yes, please do. Any other question, please? So let me just talk about a few commands. Yeah, let me talk about a few commands. I'm waiting for your questions. If you have questions, or mute yourself and just ask. Let me talk about a few commands that have helped me in this thing so far. Number one, you need to know how to use Git. You need to know how to use Git. Let's assume that you have ls, and then you have let's do ls first. So we are in the test and we do ls, and let us assume that we want to push this to Git. So the first thing, let's do git status. Okay, I'm just going to show you the command. I'm not really going to create a GitHub account and do all this. I'll just show you the command. Okay, so you see, when I run git status, it says fatal, not a Git repository. So the first thing you need to do when you want to start using Git is to say git init, and this is going to initialize a Git repository. Now everything we have done, you can do git add. Okay, git add dot is going to add this particular folder, which is test, to Git. Okay, so I'll say git add dot like this, and it has added. Now if we do git status once again, I'm going somewhere, stay with me. If we do git status once again, you see we have added all this command. Okay, I don't know if you people know this or you don't, but I just felt like sharing this with you. Okay, now if you do git commit, is going to commit your changes, right? And of course, you need to add a message to your git commit, and you need to say a commit message. For example, I'm just going to say teaching permissions. Okay, so let's say this is my git commit message, and I hit enter. Okay, now I'm going to clear this. So I've committed. In a typical setting, what you do next is git push. What you do next is git push after you must have added your remote repository, and it will push. But listen, what happens when you make a change? For example, let's say you are trying to do a task, and then you run your test, and you see that, oh, my test is failing, let me try something else, right? For example, then you go back again, and then you do vim, and you do, look, let me see what we have in my file. So let me do cat my file. Sorry, let me do cat your file and see what we have here. So if you see this cat your file, we have this shebang line in that file. Now if you now edit your file, remember we have committed our changes. If you edit this shebang file, so I do cat your file like this, and then I edit shebang file. Let's say I now add a command, so I'll just type I to start editing, and then I'm not even that good at VIM, I'm still learning VIM, please. So and then I go down and I add, let's say, an answer for one of the questions, and maybe that answer is 777, for instance, okay? Or let me be more practical. That answer, maybe the answer says change the directory, change the permission for user to execute, and change the permission for group to write. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll now say add user plus execute like this, and then I'll now say group plus write like this, and then the name of that file I want to put. So let's say the name of the current file, I'm working on the current file. Let's say the name of the file is main dot okay, yeah, let's do main.py, for instance. Now I have this, I'm going to save this by doing semicolon wq. Semicolon wq will appear at the bottom of here, okay, at the bottom here when you hit your escape. Semicolon wq, second, let me see if okay, I'm not in start mode, enter. So I'll just type escape semicolon wq, enter, and okay, what's happening? Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, your file, this just going to put escape. Okay, so I'll just clear this. Okay, so it's the web terminal just messing up, right? But let us assume I have edited that file. Let me be sure that what I edited actually saved. Okay, so of course the name is, I think, is the name my file or your file? I think it's your file, and let's check what we have there. So you can see it's actually there. So we've edited this file and we've added this. On git, if you do git add everything, right, again, that means you have added this file. You can even check with git status, you know, you just did a change, right? So you have added this file. Now you want to commit it, but remember that this file is still the same file you worked on the last time. So what you can do is you can amend the previous commit. Okay, that is where I'm going. That's my destination for this whole long talk. You can amend the previous commit. How do you do that? You say git commit, okay? Now -- amend is going to change the previous commit, okay? And then you do -m, and then the message you want to put, okay? So you can use the same message, or you can use any new message you want, right? And let's say I just say permissions, okay, for instance, like this, and then I hit enter. See, now I have amended the previous commit. I'm not doing a new commit, okay? Then if I want to push this now to my repository, all you need to do is git push, okay, -f. This is going to push the same this thing, so the amended commit now will be pushed to your repository. All right, I hope this helps somebody. So you don't need to start doing every time you do a fresh commit. Okay, you can always amend the previous commit and push to your repository. What does this do for you? This just helps you when you are looking at your GitHub stuff later. You will know that, okay, all I did here was actually just amend a previous commit, and you know that makes your work a lot cleaner. Yes, so just decided to add that in. A lot of Git commands really, and I mean, Git is very powerful and very good. You can just keep, the more you use it, the better you become. So that's it. Yes, any other question? Any question at all? Any question? So in the absence,
hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can I ask question on Vagrant?
Yes, on Vagrant. Yes. Oh, I have treated Vagrant. Go ahead and ask your question. I've treated it, but ask your question.
Sorry, I just joined.
Yeah, no problem.
I just joined.
No problem.
All right.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
Hello, Anita. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Anita. Just hold on for someone who is about to ask, and then after that person, you can go. So you can.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Anita. Just 1 second. Someone is about to ask a question before you started speaking. So the person who was talking can continue.
All right. On the advanced tax on Vagrant, that advanced one.
Yes.
I did it, but what the thing is telling me is that the file should contain Linux. I don't understand.
Yes. Okay.
Because
I understand what you are saying because I've done that tax.
Yeah.
Okay. What is there is that the tax is telling you to use a command, okay, on your machine, and then write exactly what you see as the output. Okay.
Okay.
Write exactly what you see as the output. So let me just assume that this is my virtual machine. Of course, this is not my virtual machine, but I mean, it's the same interface. I've gone through how you can get Ubuntu virtual machine. In fact, we were even installing it before I deviated. All you just need to do is type this uname command. Okay, now you see what is outputted here on my machine. Here is Linux. Okay, so what you need to do now is this thing you are seeing is what you should now put add to your file. For example, let me say my file is Vim and the name of my file is username, for instance. Okay.
Yes.
So what the question is telling you is that what did you see when you did the uname command? For me, what I saw, I'm saying for me, you do it and write what you see on yours. Okay. For me now, I will now do bin and do bin. I'm not sure if the question specifies you to add this, but I don't know. I guess I added it. Then for me, what I can see here is what? Linux. Exactly. Then you do your own, and what you see is what you should write here.
Okay.
Yeah. Any question?
But you should do it without adding anything, like without any option, right?
Yes. Just uname. That's what it says. Uname. Just type uname.
Okay. And it doesn't matter the directory you typed it on.
The directory.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I think the question is quite specific. So if you follow the question and you do that uname thing, it's going to give you what your username is. Okay. So I'm doing it on test directory. Let me go back a step and try it again. Okay. So I'm back a step to root, and I'm going to say uname, okay, and I still get Linux, okay.
Okay.
I
Thank you so much.
how your own will behave. This is my own. I'm showing you now. Do your own, and then
just whatever I see when I type it.
So Anita, you were about to ask a question. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Anita is about to ask a question.
Please, can I go next?
Okay, so yeah, Anita, please ask your question.
Okay, we've been having trouble with people, so we've been doing tasks and doing some helping for those having trouble with starting these tasks, and we've realized that most people forget to configure or clone their repositories.
Okay.
Is there a way to do that after creating the repository and
Yes.
like after starting on the task?
course.
Is there a way you can clone your repository
Yes.
without doing it again?
Yes. You don't have to do it again. And this question you asked is very
Can you
important.
please elaborate?
I would even practically show you
Cloning
how to do
and
it.
configuring.
I will practically do it now. Okay, so notice that when I created the test folder here, okay, so let me show you. I'll just cd into test to show you.
I'm taking notes.
So when I created the test folder, I didn't clone it. I created the folder directly, and then I did git init right from this web terminal. Okay, I did git init, and now I can do git status. Okay, and you see that this is a git folder. Okay, let me just do git add one more time so that everything will be up to date. And I will just add this, and I'll do my git commit, everything as usual. Okay, and let's say okay, and the message is going to be what? Created uname folder, uname file. Okay, now I have done this, but I didn't clone this. But I want to add my git repository to this folder, which is my remote repository. Then someone's trying to join. Then what you do is, what you do is you go to GitHub, right? And I'm on my GitHub now. What I just need to do is click on new. I'm going to create a new repository for that, and that repository I'll just call it test. If I don't have test already here, I'll call it test, and of course test is available. You can choose to give it a description or not, that's up to you, but the most important thing is to click create repository. Now when I click on this create repository, okay, what happens is you have this command here. Okay, now it's telling you, GitHub is already telling you that if you have an existing repository, look, existing repository from command line, just run this command. So I'll copy this now. What this command does is it's going to add this test repository to my local repository. Okay, so I'll copy this, and it's the same thing. Okay, so I'll go back here, and then I'll paste this. For the way you paste on the web terminal is you type Ctrl+AV, and that is going to paste that command you just copied. Sorry.
Hello.
Did I copy that thing correctly? Shift insert. Okay, 1 second, let me just copy this correctly again. Okay, so sorry, my system is hanging. Can you all hear me? Can you still hear me, everyone?
Yes,
okay.
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my system is just hanging. I just need to.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I guess you are using web term.
Yes, I'm using.
Sometimes
yes, I'm using the web term.
Sometimes it's hard to paste. Sometimes it's hard to paste with the web term. I think that's it.
Well, once you press Ctrl+AV, it's going to paste. But let me copy that again. Let me copy that again. I guess my pen made my system to hang, like the pen I have opened. This pen here. So that's why my system was hanging. So Ctrl+AV. Okay, why is that not pasting? Okay, actually this web term can be very funny. So what I would do is I'm going to close this one. Don't worry, it's the same thing. I just want to be on the same page. let me close up my pen first. Probably my pen is obstructing it, and try it again. So Control AV, you see that? So the problem was I have my pen open, and when I try to do the command, it's conflicting with my pen. Okay, so when I close my pen, I just type Control AV, and it's going to paste exactly that thing you've copied. Let me back off and explain what you've copied here. Git remote add means you want to add this this remote GitHub repository. Okay, you want to add it to this your local repo. So once you run this command, and you don't need to cram this command, just go to your distance and copy the repo, and then type git remote add origin and this, enter, and you see no errors. So we've added that. If you go back here, you see the next command. Type this git branch dash main dash m main. If you copy this and you come back here, Control AV, that's going to paste that in, enter. You see no errors. Now let us now push our work. So to push your work, just do git push dash u origin, Control C, and you will see that we have pushed everything. Live is going to happen here. So if I do this, Control AV once again, and hit enter, watch. You see it's asking me for my username now. Can you see? Now I now put my username, which is okay, like this. It's asking me for my
Hello, can I ask a
password.
question?
Yeah, you have a question? Ask your question.
Okay, at this juncture, I want to know if this thing is still the same thing as just cloning your repository, like using
it is the
Git clone.
same thing. See, when you clone your repository, the clone command
Yes.
does all these steps for you. You
Okay.
get? But if you forget to clone a repository and you have gone far in your
For
work,
those who forgot. Yes.
then this is what you can do, and it's still the same thing. Do you understand?
Okay, this is the same thing as cloning.
Not necessarily. I don't want to call it that, but instead, okay, listen. If you forget to clone, right, that means you need to initialize that repository. That means you need to now add your remote to your local. Okay, so if you say clone, what clone does is it is automatically going to sync your local repository and your remote repository. Your remote repository means the repository on your GitHub account. So if you say git clone and then the URL of your repository, is going to sync the two together. So you don't need to do git branch dash main or git remote add, nothing. It's going to do that step for you when you say git clone. But if you did not say git clone, then you need to manually do all this one. Okay, I'm doing this because of the person that asked what is the solution when we did not clone our repository but we have gone far in our work. How do we now push? How do we now continue? This is how you do it. Okay, then the next thing is asking me for my password. So I'm going to I'll stop sharing so that I can copy my password, because I mean you don't want anybody to see your password. So stop presenting.
Which password is this?
The password is asking you
Is it your GitHub
the
password?
token. You remember you created a personal access token. Did you create that?
Yeah, the personal.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
It is the personal
Yes.
access token that we are referring to as password. Okay, let me quickly copy that.
But who would steal that?
Alright, so I'll go back here. All I did was just copy my token, and see, notice when you paste the token, nothing will show up. The same Control AV command will paste it. Control AV. I have pasted it now, but nothing is showing up. But I assure you it is there. Don't type any other thing.
the screen.
Okay, and I'll hit enter. Watch, it will push everything. So I'm having some error.
You have not shared your screen
have
again.
not shared your screen,
Sorry
no.
about that. Sorry
The
about
screen, the screen, man.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. Sorry. Okay, I forgot. Okay, so when I tried to push the first time, I had this support for password authentication was removed. I'm going to please use a personal access token instead, which is what I did. So I'll just clear this one and do git push. So once you have added it, you can do git push. It's going to push that, enter, and setup is saying git push dash setup origin main. So run this command. I'm going to copy this command. I'm going to copy this command like so, and I don't like everything like this. Control AV, right, and do this. So it's asking me now, what's the username? I'll do my username, okay, like this, and then password for this, and I'll do Control AV, okay. Hopefully that has been pasted. Hit enter, and okay, it's telling me support for personal access token was removed. Please, for more information, authentication failed. Okay, let me be sure that I copied that password correctly. Okay, so let me just copy the password correctly. I may have resumed. Okay, so I'm going to run my git push once again. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. So I copied my personal access token wrongly, but now I've copied it correctly, the token itself, and it's telling me to do git push dash dash set. I mean, these commands, you would see them, you would see upstream. Okay, I'm typing this out because I don't want to copy it, because if I copy it I will lose what I've copied before. So upstream origin main, right, and hit enter, and it will ask me for username. I'll type I am acoustic like this, enter, and then my password, Control AV, hoping that copied correctly. Hit enter. You can see that now everything we've done so far has been pushed to that repository. So the problem was I was copying my personal access token. I was missing out one number from it. So if you are getting error like I was getting here, saying authentication failed, that go and check. You must be copying your personal access token wrongly. But if you copy it correctly, right, as you got it from GitHub, and then you use Control AV, it is not going to show up. How do you know that what you've done is correct? Just hit your enter key and it will push everything. Let us now verify from GitHub that everything we have here. So let me do ls, right, and do -al so we can see everything. Sorry, you can't see it. Let me clear it, so I'll do it again. So ls-al will show me all the files I have in test. Now let us check GitHub if we have these same files. Okay, I'll check GitHub. This is the account I just created before your very presence, and I will just refresh this account like this, and look at, can you see all the files now? Look at main.py, new file, username, your file. Can you see that? Now let me show you everyone. Are we on the same page now? Can you see? The person that asked the question,
yes,
you understand, right?
Yes.
All right, so now I will show you the amend command that I was talking about. So supposing I have tested a particular command, yeah, and then sorry, someone is trying to join. Okay, so supposing I have tested one command and I discover that it's failing, okay, and I make an edit to that command. For example, this is your file which we created. So let's see what is inside your file. Cat your file. Okay, so this is the command. I have tested it, but then I discovered that this test is failing and I want to try some other test, and then I edit the file with vim, for instance, and I type vim, what's the name of the file? Your file. Okay, and then I make my edits. Let's say I say no, okay, it's not g plus w, it's g plus xw, for instance. Okay, let's say, oh sorry, I did X without doing insert. Okay, so let's say it's G plus XW and I put space. Now I want to now push this to GitHub now, right? So what I do is I'll just say WQ to save that, and then I've saved this. What you want to do is git add. Then you will now amend your previous commit, because this was the same file we are working on. There is no need to make a new commit. So you do git commit -- amend. Okay, then the message of the commit like this, and then what text do you want to add, so that you can easily remember that this is what you did. I would save this as what? Correction, for instance, and then I'll do enter like this. Okay, now I have saved this as correction. Okay, someone's trying to join. Where was I? Okay, so I've saved this one now as correction. Okay, now I did not make a new commit. I amended my previous commit. So now I'll push this and I'll say git push -f. If you just say git push, it's not going to work. It will give you error. Okay, you need to say git push -f, which means I want to force this change to my previous commit. Okay, and hit enter, and you see it's asking me for username. Now one of the good thing about the way you clone, when you clone using your personal access token and your URL, you are not going to always have to input your username and password each time. But if you do it this way, then it will ask you for username. Once again, you put the username, right? It will ask for password. Let's hope that I still have my password copied. I'll just press Ctrl+AV. I think that's the last thing I have copied. Enter. Okay, can you see it has pushed successfully? If you go back here now, you will see my correction will be reflected. Watch this. So if I do this now, can you see correction on your file? Can you see?
Okay, I want to ask. So without adding that amend, it will create another commit, right?
Yes, it will create another commit, a fresh commit.
All this while I've been creating another commit. I've not been adding.
Exactly. So you are just creating new commit, and you are dealing with the same file. What happened is you made a mistake and you edited. You want to test if the stuff you edited is correct, right? And then you don't need to make a new commit every time. If you are referencing the old file, just amend your previous commit and push it to GitHub and then test again. If you still have to do correction, amend your previous commit again, push it. C'est fini.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, about the main commit.
Yes.
What? In using the same name to when I want to do correction, I always use the same name. Does it mean I'm creating another commit again?
Yes, that's what you are doing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other question at all? Anything you want to ask? Okay, so in the absence of no questions, permit me to call it a day. Wish you all which myself and you all a successful SE program. Okay, so we'll try and do this more often. So we can learn from each other.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. So Innocent.
Yes, Innocent.
I don't want to ask a question. I just want to know how I can connect with you on Slack. I don't know if you're on Slack.
Yes, just type Innocent, right?
Okay.
I can give out my phone number. I don't mind.
Please give out, especially your WhatsApp.
Yes, WhatsApp, please.
So I would like
you can only get me on WhatsApp, actually.
Okay, I would like to connect with you so that we'll be having this kind of
no problem.
tutorial.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so you can always reach me, send me a WhatsApp message, any problem you have at all. If I can help, I'll be delighted to. Okay, so in the absence of no questions, I'll call it a day. I wish you all the best. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Hey man.
Hello.
Yeah.
How
can you access the recording? I wasn't present.
How can you access the what?
Recording.
I think I will post it on the Slack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. +234. Oh, sorry. I meant to write +234, and I wrote 24. Let me 234, not 230.
Okay, 234.
Yeah. Let me just correct that.
All right.
234. Yes. Yep. So that is the correct thing. Feel free to add me. Innocent is the name once again. Bye, everyone.